You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Terry Tkachuk, an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Terry is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they live boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
Welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm your host, Terry Tkachuk, and I'm thrilled today to have Tatiana Boncompagni joining me today. Tatiana is the founder and CEO of Eat Sunny, an organic meal delivery company. She was the lifestyle director at Self Magazine and is a health and wellness freelance writer whose work has been featured in Elle, Marie Claire, Vogue, the New York Times, just to name a few. So I'd like to welcome you, Tatiana, to Speaking Stellar Girl.
Thank you, Terry. I'm so excited to be here today with you.
Thank you. Well, I'm going to start off with Eat Sunny because that is, you founded it, you're the CEO. I'd like to talk about what it's all about and, how we can, about your mission about making healthy eating delicious and easy to get.
And yes, exactly. Easier, more pleasurable. I think there's this misconception out there that when you're eating healthy food, it's tasteless or bland or not satisfying in particular. And so that's really what I want to change. I've been cooking for myself since I was a teenager, and I've always been interested in health and wellness. I was an athlete growing up. And so my food and what I was eating was always linked in my head, at least, to my athletic performance or my cognitive performance at school. And so I think that I've eaten this way my whole life and always fed myself kind of according to the Mediterranean diet, which is what we follow at Eat Sunny. And my goal is to show other people that actually eating very, very healthy, nutritious food is both sustainable, meaning that you can do it all the time and not just like as a crash diet or just as a short-term sort of project, and also that it can be incredibly delicious and satisfying. And hopefully at the end of working with us and ordering from us, using our program, your habits will have changed for good, and that you'll only crave and want to eat healthy, delicious food.
That's awesome. And I love the name Eat Sunny because sun makes everyone happy and golden and sunny. So why not eat happy too?
Yes. One of our taglines is feel your food. And that's the idea, is that it conjures the feeling. And I think eating and my goal is also for Eat Sunny to be more than just a meal delivery company. We're an experience, and eating is an experience. Mm-hmm. It's not just about what is on your plate, but the entire experience of it. So visually, how does it look? And what is what sort of frame of mind are you in when you eat? I don't have much control over this, but I think that what we're thinking, the thoughts that we're feeding ourselves are just as important as the food that we're 100%. Feeding ourselves.
100%. I mean, as you said, eating is an experience. That's what we do socially. We go out to eat with our friends or our family or our girlfriend. Our holidays are all centered around, what's for dinner, what are we eating? And it is an experience, and it should be a healthy one because what we're putting inside reflects on the outside and how our gut works and everything else.
And I think that you can take more pleasure from your food. That's one of the things that, I've written about it on my Instagram as well, is that it's so important to me that people and women in particular take pleasure in their food. I think that we tie so much body image and shame to food and actually enjoying it and wanting it and craving it. And we should give ourselves permission to enjoy food and to want and to be hungry. And so my goal is that if I think that this is how I work, and I think it's the way a lot of people work. If what is on your plate, is exactly what you should be eating, you take out the guesswork or the uncertainty of whether or not this food is going to help me attain my fitness goals or longevity or feel good and perform well. And so that's that, that you have total trust that what is on your plate is the right thing for you to eat. I think you can take a lot more pleasure from it. That's how I work. 100%. So that's what I want to give my customers, is the opportunity to really heal their relationship with food and their bodies. You mentioned one thing one thing before about eating with other people and how eating is a social activity. I think as well, it's a way, food is a way that we connect to one another, with each other. It's a way that we connect with ourselves. And you mentioned the name Eat Sunny. It's named Eat Sunny. And for me, what I think about when I hear Eat Sunny, I think of the fact that all energy on earth originates from the sun. That's like our source. And so that beautiful sun energy makes plants grow. And plants, we either eat plants and that's what fuels our bodies, or we eat animals that eat plants. And so therefore, it's a tangible way that we're connected. You know, we're talking with stellar girl, the stars. So Eat Sunny has a very similar kind of root to it, in that it's the way that we connect tangibly to the universe, to the stars, and also the earth below, to each other and to ourselves.
Yes. And Stellar Girl is all about, Stellar Girl shine, eating healthy, having that happy spirit, but also being Stellar Girl strong. And you are also a personal trainer and a holistic coach. Is that correct?
Yes, a holistic health coach. That's correct.
Okay. And so do you still personal train, or is that something you just work out for yourself now?
I just work out for myself. I was teaching classes at a couple of locations in New York City. I led a wellness retreat, and I had a couple of I was training a number of clients for a little while after I got my NASM certification, as I know you did as well. And I loved it. I really, really loved it. I also created a pair of ebooks with a partner. Her name is Heather Marr. She's a world-renowned trainer. One is called Model Trainer Method. The other is called 28 Days to Strong. And we sell those on a website called Liftology, Liftologie. Okay. So actually Eat Sunny really came out of my experience working with clients as a personal trainer, teaching classes and publishing those books, because the books were both nutrition and fitness together. And
everything's related.
Yes, everything's related. I mean, it's our bodies. And what I used to tell my clients was that what was on their plate, what they were eating, was reflected in their dress size.
Yes.
How good they looked in that dress was what they were doing in the gym. So to separate, I mean, they're all related, but I really didn't want my clients to come to the gym thinking about their food. I want them to come to the gym thinking about enjoying the strength that they have inside, and discovering their power and their capability, and really enjoying their workouts with all that negative self-talk about, like, I'm not this size, my body doesn't look like this, etc. Because I think when we kind of pull apart those things and leave the food where it belongs, which is really what our size is, like if we're, 4, 6, 8, 10, whatever. And if we, and then looking at what you do in the gym, which is like, do I have beautiful, biceps, or, great glutes, or whatever it is, that's all reflective in terms of what you're doing in the gym. Yeah. And
I have to work on my fasts. I made up a word. So my butt's off of my hamstring.
Oh,
fast. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if I can say that, but I just did.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, we all know what you're talking about. So yeah. But anyway, I did. It was deltoid day, but for me, anyway, so yeah, I just really wanted women to associate themselves and relate to their bodies in really new ways. And I think that food can be a source of empowerment, or it can be a source of disempowerment. And so I was hearing from a lot of our customers from the ebooks that they were finding time to do the workouts, which is wonderful. Because I think you get that immediate emotional payoff. I've done something, I've got these great endorphins. Yes. But they weren't following the diet. And so they were falling off because they felt like they had to do that, pressure had to do both at once. And the reason why is because in general, people don't have the time to do the grocery shopping, prepping, portioning, etc. that's required by meal plans. Some people enjoy it and find that meditative. I do. I love to cook. Yes. But a lot of people don't. And a lot of people are very busy. And so you don't have to enjoy it, because happily there are a lot of meal programs out there that will do that work for you if that's what you want and need to support you.
Yeah.
And so one of my customers said to me, can't you just make the food for me and put it in my refrigerator? So that was like the first light bulb moment.
Yeah. There you go.
But what I realized was that, there are no shortage of meal delivery companies out there. So the question became, I want to do this, but how can I do it better? What's missing right now? And what I really realized is that there were not very many of these companies that were created by women.
Yes.
Very few of them, actually, very, 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 very few of them create meals that are really designed for women versus for men. The vast majority of food products out there are designed for a man, a 2,000 calorie diet, versus for a woman, and what her goals are and how she might like to eat. And so I really thought of Eat Sunny as a product for myself and my friends. And so again, like the right amount of energy and the right balance. So between fats, carbs, and proteins, following the Mediterranean diet, because of course that's how I've eaten my whole life. I love it too. My background, it's my background. It's also the diet that has the greatest amount of science proving that it's anti-cancer, that it's best for weight loss and weight management over the longest term, and all kinds of chronic diseases, Alzheimer's, etc. I mean, the benefits of following a Mediterranean diet go on and on and on and on. And that's why U.S. World News Report year after year ranks it the #1 diet on a number of different levels. And it's, as a journalist, when you write for papers like the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Financial Times, and the magazines that I've written for, everything has to be accurate. It all has to be grounded in real science. You just can't, it's not, there has to be a study that legitimizes whatever that is that you're claiming. And so it was important for me that we had real science behind the nutritional approach that we were taking.
Yeah, I wish it was delivered out here. So maybe we'll talk about that a little later, how I can sign up with Eat Sunny.
Right. Well, Terry, you might want to start our first franchise.
Oh my gosh.
Midwestern.
Under STELLARGIRL. Yes. So I love how you're speaking earlier about how you made it your mission to, create this for women, a meal delivery company that focuses around, women's dietary needs. I don't know if you heard recently about, it was unfortunately misconstrued, but Burger King says we need more chefs in the kitchen that are women. And I think they didn't mean that women belong in the kitchen. I think that they meant that we need more female chefs in high-end restaurants doing meal delivery systems, being that way. Did you hear that story last week?
I didn't. I am surprised that I didn't, because I'm so passionate about the need for more women in the food industry.
And they unfortunately got so much backlash from that comment. And it's not that they meant to say that women belong in the kitchen. They meant to say that we need more chefs, like huge. I mean, all these huge, massive restaurants, most of them are males in the kitchen.
And for example, it's really, I haven't talked publicly much about this, but there's definitely this culture in restaurants that's very outdated, I think, and so many industries have been revolutionized and become more friendly to women in the workplace. And I have not worked in a restaurant kitchen, but I have friends who have, and it doesn't sound like it's particularly female friendly, these environments. And so, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if we had kind of a new movement in the food industry to make real cultural changes, because ultimately, I mean, there's a lot of women who want to be working in restaurant kitchens and starting food industry businesses. I've had to deal with a little bit of that, like mansplained. When I meet counterparts of mine who are men, or I've met with other people in the industry, and I feel like as a woman sometimes I have been discounted a little bit because I am a woman, and I've never but the one thing is that I'm really great at, which I think is one of my, keys to success in life in general, is I never really let that get me down. Whenever somebody doubts me, it just fuels my fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to go touch back on that as well, because we at Stellar Girl, we champion ourselves first while supporting other women. And I want to read something, because when people follow you on Instagram, you do write quite a bit in your comment section. And I, as someone who does a lot of social media, I love that. And because we at Stellar Girl have this Stellar Girl mindset about supporting each other, you wrote recently, and I'm going to read this so I do not misquote you. To all my female friends and mentors, I would not be where I am today without your support. Your intelligence, generosity, grit, compassion, loyalty inspire me. By lifting each other up, claiming our rightful seats at the table, we are creating a new reality for our daughters, one in which they will never question whether they are smart enough, talented enough, or tough enough on the basis of gender. And thank you for that, because I think we need to all do a better job championing each other, and women entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses. So Tatiana, how do you think we can better champion other women?
I think that women have gone through so much, and we are often judged based on, for example, our looks, or our popularity, and not things that are necessarily within our control or emblematic of what we have to offer the world, I guess.
Okay.
I think that's really where the problem starts is, when I was growing up, I love Barbie. I still love Barbie, but so much of the focus of how, like, kind of your value, your worth as a woman was on your attractiveness, or the number of friends you had. And so, I don't think boys really grow up that way. I think that they grow up with this sense of they can make the world into whatever it is that they want, and that they don't need to fit into these personas, or if they're attractive or not attractive or whatever, they're not constantly like judging and the key thing with that is that the way that we judge each other, which is totally natural, is by measuring each other against each other. So how do you know you're doing well in the world? It's like we tend to look at our neighbor, a female neighbor or a female friend, and like say, well, she has that and I don't have that. So there's all this, like, I think the problem is that we tend to value ourselves based on what we see other people have or look like or whatever.
So you think it starts at the beginning with parenting, with our daughters, with our youth, in schools, how we can better champion each other?
Well, I think that, yes, I think it helps a lot if you grow up with the parents like my father, who really instilled in me this idea of personal best, and which is what you learn about when you're, an athlete. And I was a very competitive athlete when I was very young.
I love that, personal best.
And it's this, it's this idea that you're really not in competition with anybody except yourself. And later on in life, I think I sort of reinterpreted that concept, do a lot of yoga. And one of my teachers once said, she could feel the energy in the room was off and people were feeling uncomfortable. And she said, eyes on your own mat. And so it's the same idea. It's like, there really is no one else in the world except you. Like, it's about you on the mat. It's about your personal best. And I think when we stop as women comparing ourselves and measuring ourselves against each other, we can actually start to feel more inspired rather than insecure. And so it's that measuring thing that I think society actually kind of sets up for us. It's almost like we're like set up to do that. And so if you can instill practices in your children and your daughters, especially, and if you can take on for yourself and recognize, like, when you have those thoughts, when you're feeling really bad about yourself all of a sudden because you see somebody else on social media who has a better body than you or is flaunting their fashion or house or fancy trip that you don't get to take. Notice that and understand that the responsibility is yours.
Yes, you have that choice.
That person can post whatever the heck they want. It is a free country, and thank goodness for that. It's how you interpret it that is really your responsibility, and whether or not you let it make you feel bad, because you are allowing yourself to measure yourself against that and allowing your own insecurity to make you feel less than. So focus on what's on your own mat. Focus on the things that you do have. Another thing that you can do for that is having a gratitude practice. And I really kind of didn't understand what that was until recently. I had this moment and had this voice in my head that said, you should be happy now. It was like one of this like crystal clear angel voice that I woke up one morning and it was like in my head. And I realized that I talk the talk but we're constantly evolving and getting better. And at that point, I really started a daily gratitude practice.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, it works. It really does. If you make it a habit to like go through the things that you're grateful for, it also allows you to kind of keep your eyes on your mat, be focused on your personal best, and not let what everybody else is doing impact you. And instead of when you see somebody succeeding or looking amazing or getting great things, you don't feel jealousy or insecurity.
You're happy for them.
You're happy for them.
Yes.
And that's what we women need to work on, is really being able to be happy for each other's success. How many of us have friends who are amazing when we are feeling like crap?
That's exactly why I read that, because you said that you are supported by so many girlfriends and friends, and that's who you go to. You have your handful of women that you feel supported by.
Right. But there are a lot of people out there who can't support you unless you're not doing as well as they are. And that's what's got to stop. We need to have more female friendships that are built around lifting each other up. Yes, being there for each other when the going gets tough as well. But
and that's really exactly why we created Stellar Girl. That's one of our mission statements is exactly what you just spoke. That is awesome.
And each one of us, every single woman in this country and around the world, we're all responsible for this. If we want to change the world, if we want to change the way women are treated, it has to start with us.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely, you hit it right there. That's awesome. I wish we had way more time. I'm looking at our clock right now, but I don't want to look at the clock because I want to keep on talking. You have so much to say. I want to talk a little bit more about your writing and your writing as a health and wellness director itself, or what your upcoming stories are in Mary Claire and Elle. And I know you also contributed to the New York Times and the Financial Times.
Yes, I used to write a lot of fashion for the Financial Times. It was super fun. I would get to sit front row at fashion shows, travel to the Oscars and cover Oscar fashion. And
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. I really enjoyed doing that. I've written some fashion for the New York Times and other magazines as well. But after a while, it seemed to I lost my interest in it. I felt like I wasn't making the world a better place. I think because I was just so drawn to health and wellness versus fashion, and really helping other people feel more empowered and in more connected to their bodies. So I still write about beauty just because I love beauty. I think beauty is so tied to self-worth and pleasure, and it's really, to me, beauty is health. That's one of our other mantras at Eat Sunny, is that health is beauty and beauty is health. And when we are our most healthy, we are our most beautiful. And so many of the foods that actually make our skin radiant and glowing and prevent wrinkles, etc., free radical damage, they're all the same foods that boost immunity, boost longevity, mobility. So there's really, people try and kind of disconnect these things like food for beauty and food for mood and food for immunity. But actually, when you're following a really common sense diet, which to me is the Mediterranean diet, all those superfoods, they're good for all these things. So that's the other story that we really try and tell is like food for beauty. But you asked me about my writing. Yes, so I've written a ton about beauty, as I mentioned. I've also done some health writing. I have a piece coming out in Elle magazine about a new, like, groundbreaking cellulite treatment that I was lucky enough to get to try.
I can't wait to try it.
Yes,
Sign me up, Buttercup.
Right. I mean, like, so one of the interesting stats that I learned from that, I think, was they've done studies, and I think it's I want to say above 80% of women have cellulite, and so I think normalizing it and being able to talk about it, not as though it's something that carries any stigma or means that there's something wrong or bad about you, is important. And that's why a lot of the articles that I do, really, I get really passionate about them, because it's all about paradigm shifting and helping people talk about the things that they have trouble talking about and destigmatizing things.
That's awesome. I love that. And you do that for your family as well. You're a single mom of 3?
Yes. So I have 3 kids, 16, 14, and 10, and they inspire me to do everything that I do. And one of the things that I really want to accomplish with Eat Sunny is showing them that I can, first of all, that it's never too late to fulfill your potential, because I've always felt like I had it in me to start a business. But second of all, that I can take care of them, and that they can look to me for financial support. And so within my marriage, I was very traditional. I stayed home and I wrote, but I mainly took care of them. I cooked and took care of the family, and that was great. I really enjoyed doing that. But at the same time, I think that my children had this feeling of, well, dad provides, and so and mom can't. She can't take care of us financially. She can't make us safe that way. And it's so important to me that with Eat Sunny be a success, because I really want to show them that I can take care of them, and that it's never too late to go out and become financially independent and fulfill your potential.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining Speaking Stellar today. And I love eatsunny.com. I'm going to do a shout out to all the listeners out there, and to all the women that need a healthier option, or don't always have the time to cook, to definitely check out eatsunny.com, and to follow you on Instagram. It's Tati Boncompagni on Instagram, because your writing and your posts are so true and authentic and real. And I really appreciate that as someone who's on social media all the time, as we all often are, and everything that you stand for with health and wellness, fitness from the inside and out. And I love the name Eat Sunny. Being happy and positive and having more fun in our lives is something we all need. So I really, really appreciate your time today, Tatiana.
Thank you so much. It was my pleasure. Anytime. I'd be happy to talk with you.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at STELLARGIRL.com.